B1025, the alternative station, JoJo to the morning show. It's 8:52 now. Time for your weekly video game report. That's brought to you by Comic Town, your source for comic books and more. And Ride in Our Auto Group. We want you to ride in our cars. Chuck from Gaming Nexus in. How you doing, Chuck?
A little sick weather-wise at 5x5.
A little sick?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. You know what you should do? Just stay home and play video games.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
But, work calls.
What do we have this week?
So up first, we've got 007 Legends, which is coming out for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Are you a big fan of James Bond, Joe?
Yes.
So are you excited about Skyfall, which is coming out next month?
Yes.
So, it's a big movie, so you've got to have your video game tie-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they've done, normally you get just, we'll crank out something that's very similar to the movie, they pad it out, it's a bunch of crap, they throw it on the store, and people buy it because they don't know any better.
Right.
Activision's taking a bit of a different tack with Skyfall. So what they've done is that instead of just doing one big game about Skyfall, they've actually gone back and sourced levels from 5 classic Bond movies. So you've got stuff from Goldfinger, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Moonraker, License to Kill, and Dying of the Day.
Why is On Her Majesty's Secret Service considered one of the classic Bond films?
Oh, it's a classic Bond. I think what they did it...
Because that guy made one?
Yeah.
So they just tried to include every Bond in there?
Pretty much. That's what they're doing. So, what they've done is rather than kind of set them in the 50s and 60s and 70s when those movies came out, they've actually modernized them, and they replaced all those classic James Bonds with Daniel Craig.
Okay.
So, to me, it's almost kind of heresy, and that you really think of kind of these older kind of style, but with the modern stuff. But honestly, it kind of seems to work. Review scores for this have been all over the board. You've got the single player campaign, which kind of is a bit of a mess, and you've got a fairly decent, solid, fun multiplayer mode. But like I said, review scores are on the board. Our guy, who's a hardcore James Bond guy, loved it. Okay. So that would kind of be the criteria. Are there other first-person shooters that are coming out? They're probably going to scratch that itch a little better.
Okay.
But if you're a James Bond fan, this is probably a must-have.
Okay. That is 007 Legends for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Let's talk about Dance Central 3.
Yeah, that's coming out for the Xbox 360 with Kinect. And the Dance Central games have been really one of the main reasons to own a Kinect. It's got the body recognition, so it can actually make sure you're doing your dance moves right. And the Dance Central games have always done a good job of kind of showing you the basics of dance moves.
Okay.
And then breaking it, and then kind of... So they break it down into slow to kind of get your beats down and get the basic moves, and you kind of combine them into larger dance moves. It's also really good exercise. And so Dance Central 3 is coming back. So it's 40 new tracks, much more dance moves, but they've added a single-player campaign, which is kind of different. So you're a member of the Dance Central Intelligence, and you've got to you travel back in time. You're not like traveling back to like the 60s or something like that. Mm-hmm. You're just going back to like 2002, 2003.
Oh, way back.
Yeah, way back.
Yeah.
So it's not going back in time, but it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very fun. Early reviews have been super, super positive for these games, and I always like buying these games because they're always fun. They're great to get together with a bunch of friends and play. You can have dance battles, which is always fun, and especially after a few adult beverages, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, I really recommend this one if you've got to connect.
All right. What's our last one?
Last up, we have Doom 3, the BFG edition, which is coming out for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. So the original Doom 3 came out in 2005, and it was a really gorgeous game. A lot of fun gameplay, a lot of shooty kind of stuff, but it suffered overabundance of monster closets. Now, monster closet is like if you go to the haunted house and you walk by an area and someone jumps out and goes boo. Mm-hmm. So imagine doing that like...
That was real scary when you did that just now.
Yeah, it was horrifying because I'm right here in front of you.
I know, right?
Yeah. And so basically they do it like every 4 to 5 minutes over like a 10 to 15 hour gameplay. So it kind of wears thin a little bit. Now that said, it is a lot of fun to play with in a dark room, headphones on, kind of focused in because you do get that kind of scare. So kind of a Halloween-y kind of game. What they've done is they've released the whole game. They've added some new levels, a bunch of enhancements. They've cleaned some things up. They've improved the gameplay a bit. They've also included the original Doom and Doom 2. So it's kind of a nice value pack here. And you're only going to pay $40 on $30 on the PC. Highly recommended at this price. It's a lot of fun. It's a little cheap with the constant monster closets.
Right.
It is a lot of fun, though, especially for something if you want to play for some cheap scares.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
All right. 8:56.
CD 1025.